I was 5 when it happened. The memory is still a bit hazy, but it feels like I don't know if it actually happened or I just imagine it. It was right before I entered my room. I heard intense yelling and arguments coming from my room. As a curious person, I wanted to check it out. So, right before I even entered, I hear a loud boom and then I hear crying. As I enter the room, you can feel the intensity and the remorse my dad had that day. I see him crying beside my sister's bed, and I see my sister crying, unable to walk due to a bump on her leg. That's when I realized my dad hit my sister. Domestic violence. I couldn't believe it. The hazy memory is seared into my brain now, knowing that this actually happened in my life. Although I still maintain a great relationship with my dad to this day, the fact that he did this years back still haunts me to this day, as I'm pretty sure it haunts many people who have been through this or have gone through this. Actually, it's actually been reported about 1/3 of the US population have reported a domestic violence incident within their household. I told you this little bit of information and personal story of mine to inform you about the horrendous effects of domestic violence and what can cause a person to do this violence towards their loved ones. Studies shown by the World Health Organization that women have experienced domestic violence from their spouse ranging from 4 to 49% in their lives, although many variables have to be accounted for. For example, women's variables can be accounted for consisting of low income levels, history of depression, or just accepting that this violence happened towards them. But for the spouse's variables, it can range from months or even years of unemployment, substance abuse such as alcohol, or just low self esteem. Domestic violence can also lead to deteriorating a victim's mental health, as women tend to show signs of initial shock of when this act happens for the first time, and later on show signs of depression or just self blame of what just happened. Children are also heavily affected by domestic violence, as if they're subjected to it within early in their childhood, they are likely to develop mental health problems. Domestic violence can heavily affect a person's life, but knowing the reasons why always helps too. In various cultures, society always gives the role of power towards men, while women have always been given the weaker role. The relationship between both genders have always been unequal, with masculinity um, always been associated with power and being superior towards women. Those structures that men live by violence is attributed to the male gender role by being masculine in order to assure the dominance within the relationship. In fact, some cultures encourage this sort of violence for men towards their spouse and pretend it's okay that this happened. And as a result of teaching this, about 33% of women in Europe have reported physical or sexual violence from their partner. An influential period that can actually play into effect on why men do this is their childhood. Men have reported that they do not remember what happened, but remember that they were subjected to some sort of violence. Many indicated that they were also probably abused by their family, friends, or even teachers. There are many factors why men commit this sort of violence towards their loved ones, but it also have influential factors such as substance abuse, which is alcohol. Substance abuse and domestic violence have always been linked together in various studies, as binge drinking alcohol can cause loss of inhibition, which later on has a higher probability to cause violence. With the percentage of 18.2% people engaged in binge drinking, recent studies have also linked binge drinking further increases the probability of domestic violence. It has been reported that Thailand, a middle income country located in Southeast Asia, believe that drinking is symbolic for masculine gender identity. There are many factors on what goes and what causes domestic violence, but what also plays a part is geographical region. It can vary depending on what social standards are in different countries, such as Thailand, as I mentioned earlier. Overall, there are many factors that can provoke domestic violence within a household, and it shows that domestic violence is still prevalent today. I hope I informed you well about the effects and what causes domestic violence today and how it still impacts in the world. And if you're ever in a situation of domestic violence, there are many links that I will link after this speech video to help to see if you're in this similar situation as reported here today. Thank you.